Ghost Wars, The Secret History of the CIA, Afghanistan, and Bin Laden, From the Soviet Invasion to September 10, 2001-2004, is a non-fiction political work authored by journalist Steve Coll. The book delves into the narrative of American involvement in Afghanistan, commencing with the Soviet invasion in 1979 and culminating just prior to the September 11 attacks on the World Trade Center in the United States. An updated edition of the book was published in 2005, incorporating the discoveries of the 9/11 Commission. The narrative commences in 1979 with the onset of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Various factions within Afghanistan rise against the Soviet rule, employing guerrilla tactics against the stationed troops. The United States, in pursuit of its global proxy conflict against the Soviet Union, lends support to these rebel Afghan forces. The CIA furnishes them with financial aid, weaponry, and training to employ in their struggle. An element of the U.S. training initiative involves erecting camps for the Afghan fighters and volunteers from other nations who have joined the cause. Throughout this endeavor, American intelligence crosses paths with Osama bin Laden, a wealthy sheikh who acts as an intermediary between Saudi intelligence and the Afghan insurgents. The Saudis also have a vested interest in securing an Afghan victory over the Soviets, and bin Laden directs funds towards several charitable organizations that provide financial backing to the rebels and humanitarian assistance to the civilian populace. Amidst the swiftest growing Afghan factions is the Taliban. Beyond its role as a militia, the Taliban harbors political aspirations, advocating vehemently against government corruption. The group's influence expands rapidly, bolstered by support from Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Despite an agreement between the United States and Pakistan to abstain from engaging with the Taliban, the CIA clandestinely offers financial support to the group without Pakistan's awareness. In 1986, the Soviets outlined their plans to initiate the withdrawal of their troops from Afghanistan. Premier Gorbachev expresses frustration because the United States is resolute in maintaining a presence in the area even if the Soviets depart. There's shared apprehension between both American and Soviet parties that the rebel factions might mount an uprising against the Afghan government in the absence of Soviet backing. In 1989, as Soviet forces exit Afghanistan, the nation plunges into a state of civil war, pitting the central Afghan government against certain rebel groups. The U.S., declaring its neutrality, withdraws the majority of its intelligence operatives from the region. Over time, a faction led by the pro-democracy leader Ahmad Shah Massoud becomes cornered in the north, leading to Massoud's emergence as the head of the Northern Alliance. Despite Massoud's efforts to maintain positive relations with the United States, the U.S. declines to support him in his fight against the Taliban. Around the same time, bin Laden faces expulsion from Saudi Arabia due to his criticism of the royal family. He establishes new al-Qaeda headquarters in Sudan before relocating to northern Afghanistan, where he establishes connections with Taliban leadership. The facilities initially established by the U.S. government in the region for training anti-Soviet forces are now utilized to instruct members of both radical groups. A considerable number of Stinger anti-aircraft missiles, left behind by both the U.S. and the Soviets, are now scattered throughout Afghanistan. These weapons become sought after by various factions in the country, prompting renewed U.S. involvement as the U.S. attempts to repurchase the missiles. During this period, the U.S. government establishes a fresh intelligence network in the region, solely dedicated to monitoring radical organizations such as the Taliban and al-Qaeda. Throughout the 1990s, bin Laden, the Taliban, and al-Qaeda progressively gain strength. Bin Laden leverages his family's wealth to continue financing the travel and training of individuals from any nation who wish to join his organization in Afghanistan. An escalating number of terrorist acts are increasingly traced back to the group, encompassing the 1992 hotel bombings in Yemen and the 1994 bombing of U.S. embassies in Africa. The United States endeavors multiple times to capture or eliminate bin Laden, yet he continually evades their efforts. In 1999, although he is recognized as a significant threat, the greater concern remains nuclear proliferation. Consequently, the U.S. opts to allocate more resources to counter the proliferation of nuclear weapons. Towards the end of 1999, bin Laden initiates the planning for what will later become the September 11 attacks. Despite the emergence of several fragments of intelligence, the CIA struggles to assemble a comprehensive picture that could prevent the impending attacks. As June 2001 unfolds, the U.S. becomes increasingly certain that a major attack is imminent. However, all members of the terrorist cell are already present within the country, awaiting instructions. Following the assassination of Ahmad Shah Massoud in Afghanistan, the United States dispatches a delegation to explore strategies for toppling the Taliban regime. Nevertheless, this occurs in early September 2001, rendering any actions to thwart the impending attack impractical. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.